So here we are again in good old London town, where the politicians are puppets of the Vatican and the Crown. And when it comes election day, we all run out to vote. If you think that it will change things, then that is some strong dope. For good old London town, it's the belly of the beast, where the politicians and bankers on your taxes like to feast. So get up on your hamster wheel and work until you die, as they use your hard-earned money to spray poison in your sky.
Why is it all of a sudden skyrocketing as a cause of death? The number one cause of death a few years ago for males in the UK was heart disease. Now it's been overcome by Alzheimer's and dementia. How come Alzheimer's and dementia wasn't a large cause of death in the UK 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? Because they weren't spraying as much then. And it's up to us to take the scientific method back and to think for ourselves and to actually do the research and to teach the children the way, because we can't rely on the doctors, on the scientific community, on the mainstream media to tell us what's actually happening. Is that you, Sandy? Hey, Sandy Adams is here, one of our speakers, yay. Let's give her a round of applause, that's so amazing. So everyone that's coming, please get yourself a badge, or otherwise known as a button. I'm going to have someone in the audience. Would you mind that? So I've got these buttons, which I don't think is a word here, but I call them buttons in the States. I guess you all call them badges. I'm getting so used to all the different terminology here, like pants or underwear, I guess, and trousers or pants for me, and there's a lot, but I'm learning it and it's fun, and I think it's actually really sweet, all the different funny, like cockney slang that I'm learning, like how to bubble bath, you know what I mean? Because after this rally, we can go up to the pub and have a bubble bath. That means laugh, right? Everyone? Anyways. So, we're going to go out to the pub afterwards at Carpenter's Arm. Carpenter's Arm is at 12 Seymour Place, and it's a short walk from here. But that's in a few hours. We've got a handful of speakers, about 5 or 6 speakers, and then we've got 3 bands, which is really nice. And we've got this amazing sound system set up now, so I'm really happy with that. Soundplug really came through this year, and we're not going to have any sound issues at all. Last year, towards the back, people were saying that they couldn't hear everything, but now we're surrounded by speakers, so I think we're set. And we've got double the amplifications last year, so we're all set. Back to the chemtrails. If you just start to look up, you will see trends, and you can point these things out to your family, to your peers, to your co-workers, and we have to all play our part in our own little ways, because it is up to us to help along this awakening. If we all sit quiet and don't do anything, then the world will not realize what's actually happening. And because we've been gifted, well, now I'm like reading my speech, so I should probably say this. I'm speaking my speech, that's in my head. So, it's up to us. So just think about it. The mainstream media is not going to tell us the truth. The weathermen, for instance, the Met, the Meteorological Association, they'll lie to us. They'll blatantly lie to us. The scientific community will blatantly lie to us. The mainstream media, the movies and what have you, it's all indoctrination programming. But if you just point things out, for instance, those beautiful blue days with those beautiful white fluffy clouds, those are lovely, and there's not the air traffic on those days. Okay? And if you point that out, that's kind of in a love-based way instead of a fear-based way, and people are willing to see it that way and learn in a new light when you show it to them in that nice light. Like, hey, look at these beautiful white fluffy clouds and these dark blue skies. Remember, it wasn't like this a couple of days ago. And people start to scratch their head. Well, yeah, how come there were 20 planes flying over my house on Monday, but then next Monday there won't be? I mean, we have to kind of take the knowledge back and realize that flight patterns, for instance, they are set pathways. That flight to Madrid isn't going to change course. They're not going to fly 20 planes to Madrid on Monday and then not do it next Monday. And when you start to really think about it, why would there be this irregular pattern of air traffic? Why would there be days where there's nothing happening, and then there's days where there's a whole bunch of planes in the sky? Even over London. A lot of us come from outside of London. God bless the police. Thank you for love you. So, I think everything's good. I mean, we told the police when we got notification that we'd be all there. So I think everything's gonna go smoothly just like it did last year. So thank you for that. But when people start to look at the skies and think for themselves, you don't have to be a meteorologist, a meteorologist. You don't have to be a scientist. It doesn't have to be your profession. All you have to do is look up the sky and you'll see something for yourself. Maybe you'll see a plane taking a right angle turn. There's passenger jets don't do that. I'm upon the understanding that the passenger jets don't do this thing. And that's up for contention, but based on my research, the passenger planes don't do this thing. And that makes us kind of look a little crazy when we go to people and say that the passenger plane is spraying, and people are like, well, I know a pilot, and they say that they're not spraying. And it's like, well, they're not. It's the military industrial complex. It's called the drone. It's the Bilderberg Group. It's the Department of Energy. It's NASA. You know, the WHO is very involved. People want to know the who, what, why, where, when, how when they get into this topic. And it's deep. They want it all like written down in one sentence for them so they can share it with their friends, family, and peers. Otherwise, they think it's a crazy conspiracy theory. But it's layered. So you have to think about who you're talking to when you present this information and meet them where they're at. That's a really important piece of the puzzle. So if you're speaking to your co-worker who you know doesn't know much about this, and they're like, well, who's doing this? It's like, okay, well, in the States, the number one farmland owner is Bill Gates. Number one. And if he and his trillionaire friends can engineer the weather, they can make drought on certain land and then go buy it up depending on the dollar. So it's weed driven, it's money driven, and it's big ag taking the small farmer's land. That makes sense to people. You know, you gotta think about who you're talking to when you present this information, because it's a very multi-layered topic, and it is the most difficult one. It really is. The fact that I devoted my life to this 12 years ago, sometimes I wonder why I chose the hardest thing that I've been to. Because GMOs, you know, can't prove the food supply, you can look it up, but they're doing it right in front of your face, it's not that hard. The jabs or what have you, like, there's all sorts of different things in the medical industry and what have you that are easily shown to be bad. But the chemtrails, it's a hard one. So you have to plant your seeds and do it right and play your part. And we can all play our part. I can't stress this enough. I'm probably going to say it 5 times, 10 times today. We can all play our part. Okay, not everyone's going to make an amazing chemtrail plane with chemtrails coming out of the back of the crying sun with their 11-year-old child, 10-year-old child. Where are y'all from? Oh, London? Yay. That's terrific. But we can all play our part in one way or another. Maybe just wearing the badge. When someone asks you, oh, what? What was that? Oh, I went to a rally about this topic. Oh, why were people gathering for that topic? Well, because a lot of people are concerned about what's going on. Did you hear the UK government has officially launched a sun dimming program that they just happen to call the stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation program that they just refer to as safety? That's a little weird, isn't it? Oh yeah, you can look it up. Go ahead, pull out your phone. Go ahead, put it in your pocket. Yeah, they did that. Why did they do that? Don't you think that we need sunshine? Especially in the UK, where it's often cloudy. You know what I mean? We got a nice little chemtrail on the mountain right above us. And on days like this, it is actually ideal because we have both real and fake clouds. And you can bring that to people's attention. There's the real clouds, there's the fake clouds. And some days there's only real clouds, some days there's only fake clouds. So really, observation is important. And seeing it for yourself is the biggest awakening that you can possibly have. I can't stress that enough. And then when you plant those seeds, and then someone else sees it for themselves, then you actually help in this awakening because now they're on board. And they'll come to you years later and be like, oh my gosh, Johnny, or Susie, or whatever your name may be. I can't believe I scoffed at you and told you to get out of tinfoil hat. Now I'm on board and it's time to help. And so I'm trying to detox this. You know what I mean? People come in all the time asking me about detoxing. And we're going to talk about that later, but I might as well just get into it right now. One of the best things you can do is take care of your body and mineralize. So our body needs about 120 minerals on a daily basis. And I'm going to simplify this as best I can, but this is the most important aspect of all this that I think is explain. You can take different things to try to remove the minerals from your body, but instead, you might as well learn about not absorbing the process.
Trying to say I like that guy before you ran on.
So I'm going to
That guy I like this guy fucking Mario Kart before he ran on. That normally like stops them in their tracks, you know.
On that list of 120 minerals that are
I'm around them a lot in my area, so
is
like second nature here.
levels of aluminium.
Don't worry, I don't know. I like dude, I don't understand half of the accents that come from outside of Hollywood. Oh! Irish people are jokes, man. I love the Irish. I can't tell you guys apart all the time, don't worry about it.
For our bodies to operate properly, we are minerals. And because we are mineral deficient and we're not getting the minerals that we need, we're absorbing things from our environments. That means the food that we intake, the water that we drink, the air that we breathe. And so if we're out here in extreme aluminium oxide, our body doesn't know any better, and our body is like, well, I need something that I'm getting for the functions in my body to operate properly. And so you absorb it. Another thing that is great is cadmium. Cadmium is a heavy metal, is very toxic. But it is similar on the periodic table to the elements that we do need. So say it's similar to calcium or something like that, right? And we absorb it into our bones, cadmium, because we need the minerals and we're thinking, oh, that's it. Our bodies are thinking, oh, that's a mineral that I need. And then now you have cadmium in your system. But if you were up to speed on your minerals and taking good care of yourself, you wouldn't be a sponge absorbing these minerals from your toxic environment. So there's ways to get minerals in your system. For instance, mineral dense foods. Grass-fed beef, sorry for vegetarian, but we'll talk about meat. Grass-fed organs. Don't have to grass-fed, I specialize in that. That's what animals would offer. Also, mineral dense foods include seaweeds and fish eggs. I take a supplement that is, and please feel free to write this down for you. At gmail.com.
I can do it too.
I've got some DVDs here.
The thing is, the way I see it, they're content creators that are waking up the English people, that are waking them up to like, what's going on? There's content, a recent content creator, her name is Facebook.
So,
she's waking up black tunnels. Who the fuck is doing that for the South Asian? No one doing this for us. That's why I think that like, I made a piece on Yellow Bull yesterday. Yellow Bull.
Those three
You know Yellow Bulls are?
plants,
The guy, the Yellow Bull, Ge0-Engineering,
like in theory, by taking these minerals,
this guy's not
it's important to understand bioavailability also. Our body can process plants, our body can process animals, our body can process animals that eat plants, and plants instead of eating dirt and mineral-rich dirt. But there's mineral supplements out there or synthetic vitamins that are not bioavailable. They're made in a lab or they can be in a box, basically. And our bodies aren't designed to absorb these things. So understanding bioavailability is the key word that I also understand. But when I take this Irish sea moss, which I took the other day, the sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock. Sea moss is a seaweed, bladderwrack is the seaweed, and burdock is the root that cleanses your blood. By taking these three things, your body gets the minerals that you need, and then you're not as much a sponge in a toxic environment. Keith Lyon is an herbalist, and he'll be here today later talking about different things like this. But also you can take chlorella, and that will help remove chemicals in the body. Also silica-rich herbs, such as horsetail or bamboo tea. Horsetail and bamboo eat sand. And in the sand is silica. And we are very much our nails, our skin, our hair, our bones are silica-rich. Silica leads to autoimmunity and pulls it out of your system.
I bought my own
So
thing,
there's
bro.
ways to remove the heavy metals from your system.
Oh, bro, I bet my own thing, man.
Getting as many of the heavy metals within your system.
I bet my own
And knowledge is power. I like to say, and you say it as well, sorry to be repetitive, is you
I don't know how to explain it. I've been this way for a long time. So it's difficult to explain to somebody who doesn't have it. Because it's hard to years.
to a level where consciousness is risen and we'll be able to do something about this. But right now, because we can't immediately change what's outside of us, at least we can change what's inside of us. And all of us can be a little healthier, including myself. I mean, especially myself. That involves eating better, taking better care of yourself, and I can't stress enough saunas. Give your body the opportunity to detox these things. You know, I hate for anybody here to end up with Alzheimer's, and there are ways to help get these things out of our system before they accumulate too much and having adverse reactions. So there's that. Does everybody have a badge? I see people out there not wearing badges. We've got the lovely Pat who's going to be speaking today, and she's got some badges for everybody. Also, a gentleman talked to me earlier about the patterns in the sky because he's done a lot of research. And he says, and he showed me that on the edge, of cold fronts, that they'll come out and spray chemtrails. And this is to either direct the cold front or move it through faster or to heat it up or to steer it. But the chemtrails are especially involved in weather engineering.
Came out.
First, learn about this.
It came out.
There's a couple ways you can first learn about chemtrails. Someone can come to you and talk to you about it. And this is the importance of being a seed planter, the bringer of truth. Because us, the knowledge, we have to pass the knowledge on, but in a grounded, responsible fashion. It is up to us to meet people where they're at. And oftentimes we just need to talk about weather engineering because that's one of the primary aspects of chemtrails is weather engineering, weather warfare. Midnight, 1954, Midnight was flooded by the RAF, Royal Air Force, and just over a dozen people were killed, and they admitted, oops, we made it flood. We did it on purpose. It's in my movie Frankenstein. It's very well documented. In that same year, 1954, there was this London fog that killed like 12,000 people. You guys know about this? And it was when they were tampering with the weather. And based on my research, it seems like that an inversion effect was created where this substance is being sprayed in the sky to experiment with created an inversion effect where the smog and the chemicals being sprayed came down and cooled the ground level and literally killed thousands of people in 1954. It's been happening for a long time. Also, Project Popeye. Popeye is on Wikipedia. So people that like deny these things, it's so easy to just pull it up. Oh, do you not know about Popeye? Well, Popeye, the weather was weaponized, in the Vietnam War. The war never declared the Vietnam conflict, but no sure. So in the Vietnam War in the 60s, Agent Orange was sprayed, which was a defoliant and herbicide. They were trying to like kill vegetation and whatnot, and it hurt a lot of innocents doing it. So aerosolized chemicals were sprayed, but also using their cloud seeding technology, which a big aspect of the cloud seeding technology, which is very fascinating, is they use frozen carbon dioxide, which is dry ice. So concentrated carbon dioxide is sprayed in the atmosphere. I'll repeat that. Concentrated carbon dioxide is sprayed in the atmosphere by our governments to tamper with the weather. And then they say, oh look, there's carbon dioxide, it's your problem, it's your fault, because you drive around your cars, we're going to put in the ULEDs, and we're going to make you drive in circles to get your neighborhood, because driving is bad, and you can only drive this technology cars, I mean, you know all about it. Not to mention Excel carbon dioxide. And at the end of the day, carbon dioxide isn't even the problem. Carbon dioxide is only 0.08% of the atmosphere. 0.08%. So you add 0.2%, now we're at 0.1%. So it's not even 0.1% of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide. It is not even the main greenhouse gas. It is not the problem. It has been demonized because it gives us life. It could quadruple, and it would be a boon for agriculture. It would be fine. If the carbon dioxide level got cut in half on Earth, we would likely all perish. So cutting back on the carbon dioxide is not a solution. And when people learned about the weaponization of the weather back in the 60s and the 50s, all the way back to the film franchise that I created, it starts with historical footage from the 1920s. By the time the film gets to the 1950s, it is self-evident that they've been sharpening their tools and figuring out how to engineer the weather. So they've been doing it for that long, it's not a stretch to realize that it's still ongoing. So when you meet someone, or you're talking to someone new about this, and you're telling them about the engineering of the weather, and that's what chemtrail's primary agenda is, that's palpable, that's reasonable, it makes sense, they can look it up, they can look up the patents. Oh, the patent started in the 1890s? Well, that's really curious. Okay? Another way to go about it is you meet someone, or you're talking to someone for the first time, and you say, oh, they're spraying this guy's a poison, and they're killing everybody, and there's nanoparticulates in the sprays. That's not a very grounded way to go about it. They're going to dismiss you. Okay? Is that a piece of the puzzle? Quite possibly, yes. Most human idea. Like oftentimes they'll spray stuff where I live that I think is lithium and I'm all drowsy and I can't think straight. But I'm not going to tell that to someone that's new to the situation. It's about being the proper seed planter and owning our part in this awakening, because the powers that be, they rely on us being labeled as crazy conspiracy theorists. But in reality, they're selling us Ge0-Engineering as a solution, while telling us that chemtrails is a crazy conspiracy theory. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. So that's what I'm going to say about that. I'm expecting the DJ the latest music club to get going, but this has been a very long mic check. I guess I'll just keep on talking for now. I've been on a bunch of podcasts recently. Sheep Farm is a really great one, and one of the hosts of Sheep Farm will be here soon. His name is Chris, and God bless them for helping get the word out, and that's really great. But really, podcasts are great, documentaries are great, but we can all play our parts. You know, I'm going to say this. We can all play our parts by planting the seeds properly and having these important discussions with our friends, our families, and our peers. Okay? And if they don't believe in it, we can see, check back next week, see if it's germinating. If they don't believe it, plant the seeds, check back next year. If you do it with grounded passion, they'll look at the skies. That's all you want out of the people that are deniers. Because we were all deniers once. We didn't wake up, we didn't come out of the room with a pimple back. I mean, we did. That's setting, you know? And it takes some time. And it takes like an aha moment when you really see it. My personal story is I was working on a farm in Northern California, which is where I'm from the West Coast. I grew up in Virginia, which is the East Coast of the United States. I live in the West Coast of the United States. And I come here, I host a rally, and we'll talk about that later. Well, I'm here because this is where the way people live. This is where the spark resides for humanity. But that's part of my speech that I've memorized, but I don't know how to do my speech yet. Not yet. So anyway, I was working on a farm, and we had 3 years of drought. We hadn't had the rain that we usually get in Northern California. Which in Northern California we get a seasonal deluge that starts in around October and it rains through March. It just keeps raining because it's jet stream coming off the Pacific Ocean and it rains. Like Seattle, gloomy weather. This is where like different musicians come from and talk about gloomy weather, what have you. So I was working on the farm that I work on, growing potatoes and pumpkins and learning about organic farming, which I highly recommend because this is an important piece of the puzzle as our world changes around us. We're going to have to learn how to take care of ourselves or out of the system of individual ID, which will come with a lot of different things that we're not going to want. So we're going to want to learn to take care of ourselves. Okay, so what's his name? Hey. So, what was that gentleman that was going to talk about, what is it? I'm already talking about this. So, it's important for us to see where the future is headed, okay? Think about it. If you're here today, you likely know where we're at and where we could be going.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to peace out, I think.
What's your name again?
Joe.
And where did you come from?
I'm from Pittsburgh, Northeastern.
Awesome. So, understanding where this is all headed, Agenda 2030, the New World Order, all these different interwoven pieces of this puzzle. Okay? Hey, you're here. So, what is it going to be like for the future of our children? Are we going to just have them have a digital ID, digital currency, and then have everything in control? Or are we going to see the writing on the wall and think for ourselves and plan accordingly? We have a choice. And this is Louise Thornton. Hey Louise. Louise is going to be speaking as well, and I'm really excited that she's here. Last year she was blonde, and now she looks different, but I'm so excited that you're here. Good. Don't go anywhere. I'll just hand it off to you in a second. If you could. You look cool? Are you cool with that? Okay, cool. So, community resilience. We all have to think outside the box. We have to think about what the future is going to be like for our children. And Warren, right? Warren has approached me, and we met last year. And for those of you that have come 2 years in a row, thank you so much. Warren's one of those people, and God bless you for coming twice. And Warren has some information for us that he's going to go ahead and share. And I think it's really important.
Thanks very much, Matt. We're all aware of what's going on in the world and we're doing the work. I'm sure many of us here are in various sort of members in the chat forums where we're getting updates on what's going on in the world and the future that we're all being subjected to. For me, some time ago, I got less interested in being aware of what's going on and more interested in solutions. And a couple of years ago I was made aware of a thing called the Community Assembly of the Digital Isles. Maybe some of you here are already aware of it. So it's actually HABI, and it's by the acronym, it's a private members association. It's largely started in the British Isles, but it's a worldwide thing as well. The aim is especially free to join, the aim of which is to save lots of money. So there's loads of fascinating as well. So it's a very, I still personally believe that it's a fight against the system as well. HABI is about building a new system that we can all come on board with. And so that's a form of new society. So there's about 5,000 members in the British Isles. People coming on board with this, about 100 a month now. So it's a good thing, it's a solution. Lots of support online for various things. People who are engaged in growing their own food, legal issues. It's an awesome, healthy thing. And right now it's not much happening. That's the platform for that. We're really doing good. So we've got into it. We're happy to have that. I think we're pretty good to do it. So our if you want to look online, to search for HABI, if you put in the search engine, see British Isles, that takes you to the website of the British Isles. The only things you need to abide by to become a member is that you abide by natural law, which is basically do no harm, cause no loss, commit no breach of the peace, and commit no fraud. They also just like you to vote on any matters that they're engaging in. So yeah, community assemblies of the British Isles, check it out. It's one of the good remedies out there for the shit show that we're all facing. So okay, thank you very much for your time, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.
How can everyone hear us in the back okay? Yeah? And then for those of you that came to Marble Arch, how did you find it over here? Did you see a little sign that was made, or what? Is everyone, you think there's people over there getting lost, or what? Any thoughts? How are you going to reply to that? I don't know. So, oh, you can hear us. Okay, well that's a good thing. Okay, well that's hopeful. Raise your hand if you don't have a badge, a button. And Christian, the lovely Christian, Chris from Sheep Farm, our celebrity guest, let's give him a round of applause. Yeah, Sheep Farm. He's gonna come and give you a badge. So if you want a badge, keep your hand up and he's gonna come get one to you. So thank you so much for joining in the solidarity and having a badge with us. Okay. Well, it's about time to get going, it seems like. So let's see. Well, I have a little intro and everything for everybody, so I guess I'll just start with that. I was expecting our DJ to come, and then we were going to start with some music, but he is late or MIA, so that's why I just rambled on for the first 30 minutes, so thank you for bearing with me there. But hopefully we learned something, and I just want everyone to know, for one, I'm just a normal guy. I don't have money. I didn't come from money. I'm just a normal person. I never ever thought that I would be an activist. All right, and if you message me, I'll reply. You can email me. My email is frankenskies, Frank E-N Skies, not I-N like frankincense, but like Frankenstein, if you know about that one. frankenskies@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook, Matt Landman, but there's a lot of imitators on there, so you gotta find the one with the followers. I've got like 160,000 followers, even though I get censored and no one sees my posts, but I still have followers. So if you see somebody that doesn't have followers, that's not me. So please don't be a stranger. If you have questions or feedback, or you wanna share something with me that you've learned, I'm here for you. So just Just know that. Thank you. I'm going to just focus on that.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you everyone for being here today. It's good to see people, join the fight. It's always good.
Come on over here. We're going to do this over here, I think. All right. It was about 12 years ago when I devoted my life to exposing the chemtrails, and I never looked back. In 2018, I created the documentary film Frankenskies. I never thought that I would be an activist, but here I am, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I hope that you will also consider becoming an activist in your own way. It really just starts with one step forward and doing what you can with what you have, where you are at. I never would have dreamt that I could have done this and what I've done in activism, especially being here, able to host a rally such as this. It's an absolute honor to be here today, representing truth with you all. Thank you so much for being here. So Louise, I met Louise last year. She stepped up. She was just wanting to get vocal. And it was a beautiful thing because a lot of people are shy. And Louise asked me if she could read a little speech that she had heard at the lockdown rallies. And she got up in front of everybody, and it was amazing. And then I found her again, and Louise is a 24-year-old activist from West Kirby, over near Liverpool. She became passionate about activism after having a spiritual awakening that enabled her to see through the illusions and corruption and deception in the world. Louise has a little speech that she's going to give, and speak up.
Any ideas?
Like be loud, don't be shy. And then also towards the end, you have a rap that you made about Ge0-Engineering. Oh, a poem. She's a poet. Yeah, I love it. But seriously, Louise is 24 years old, and she's not shy, and she'll get up in front of everybody and speak truth. So use that as an inspiration, and consider playing your part as you can. You don't have to get up in front of people, but if Louise isn't going to be shy, and she's going to come all the way from West Kirby, then you too can stand up and be an activist as well. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for letting me speak here today. I really appreciate it. I prepared a few words, so I'll just read that now. To have so many of us gather here today, willing to use our voices and stand up for the sake of humanity, is incredibly uplifting and brings great hope. I admire anyone who, despite ridicule and fear, goes against the grain and takes a stand, and uses their voice to shed light upon the crimes against humanity that are happening right before our eyes. It is our mission to be defending this beautiful planet against the forces who want to block out the sun, using concoctions of chemicals sprayed directly above us every single day. What goes up must come down eventually, and the evidence collected by people like ourselves is irrefutable. Aluminium, barium, strontium, manganese, lead, cadmium, arsenic, mercury, graphene oxide. These toxic metals and trace elements have been reported by activists and researchers in high volume all over the world. In our rainwater, snow, soil, air filters, atmospheric particulate collectors. Is that not crazy to you? This is happening on a mass scale, and so much so that it begins to raise questions like, what are the effects of breathing and consuming these elements? And if the ones doing the spraying know the dangers of these elements in high doses, but haven't stopped spraying them, then what really are the true intentions behind Ge0-Engineering? If it's no good for everyone, it's no good at all. Ge0-Engineering is only doing us and the planet more harm, despite it being dressed up to the public as a solution. Bees, insect, nature is suffering massively. To answer the first question, how are we affected by these elements in high doses? Well, let's use lead as the first example. Lead affects the brain and nervous system. It can cause learning difficulties, memory problems, irritability, seizures, kidney damage, and many other problems. And the same goes for all the other reported elements listed. Numerous symptoms affecting our cognitive, neurological, and biological systems. And I'm sure many of you are aware that heavy metals contribute in calcifying the pineal gland. Being awake in a society that is for the most part asleep can be an incredibly lonely experience. Being able to see through the deception, corruption and indoctrination at times can be a heavy load to carry. But it gets a hell of a lot easier when we come together in unity to shed light upon the darkness that is being spread from people in power who, as a society, we blindly trust, follow and cooperate with without ever asking questions or challenging the system. We're born as free, living, breathing human beings on a planet of abundance. So why are the very resources we depend on for life treated as commodities rather than fundamental rights? Why is our air and water heavily contaminated by the time we consume it? To describe it as contaminated would suggest that it has become dirty over time accidentally through natural processes with no ill intent, planning or prior knowledge. But is that really the case? By us coming together like this, we're not only spreading awareness to others, but we're letting them know that we know what they're doing and we do not consent. There may only be a percentage of us here today, but through consistent activism, resistance and unity, more will join us as they awaken to the true actions and intentions of the corrupt, indoctrinating and deeply convoluted system that we are currently living in. I wrote a poem, so I'm just gonna read that. I like watching the birds when they fly. I like looking up and seeing blue skies. I can't remember the very last time that the world I was born in felt like mine. Chemical clouds, chemical rain. We're here today because we all want change. We look around to the trees and the bees, silently suffering from a hidden disease. Do you ever wonder why some days you feel a bit dead, like you're under the weather, with clouds overhead? I've been staring at the sky, trying to make sense of the haze. I've been seeing more trails left by the planes. We don't want our weather changed, not the sun nor the rain. Ge0-Engineering is damaging more than just our brains. When will they listen? It's our planet too. It doesn't just belong to an entitled few. Psychopaths with power is a dangerous thing. No consideration for anything else living. Before I was born on Earth or sent, I do not recall giving prior consent to be poisoned daily by water and air, heavy metals in my sweat and in my hair. If health is a right, then explain this to me. Why is contamination the cost of being free? Decisions that could impact our air, water, weather and future should not be made without accountability to the people they affect. Any activities affecting our environment should be subject to transparency, independent scrutiny and public debate. Thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you Matt for letting me speak. Keep doing what you're doing, people. Keep attending gatherings, rallies. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Appreciate you. Give Luis a round of applause. Thanks again, everyone, for being here today. Do you all know why I'm hosting these rallies here in England out of anywhere in the world, I'm doing it here. It's because this is where the most awake people live on Earth, believe it or not. This is where the spark resides for humanity. And what happens here sets the tone for the rest of the world. After the last rally, it started to really dawn on me. This is the front lines. We are the resistance to the new world order agenda. I mean, think about it. Nobody else anywhere in the world is coming together singing, "You can shove the new world order up your ass." So because this is the front lines, we must set a precedent of what we are no longer willing to take, what we are no longer willing to stay silent about. So by having these rallies, we draw the line, and the line must be drawn. We are here to draw the line and to help along the rising consciousness surrounding chemtrails and geoengineering. Most of us are here today because we already know the truth. And because we know the truth, we know that we are unique and we can see through the lies easily. And we feel an obligation to do something about it. And do something about it we must. Because we know the truth, we can see the chemtrails. Amongst so many who are still blind to them, we can see them. And because we know the truth, we can see the war on consciousness, this war on humanity. And because we're the ones with the eyes to see this war, we are the ones who must fight this war. We can see what is coming. We can see the writing on the wall. We can see not just the future, we can see the present. While so many others cannot see the present, we can see it. And because we can see it, we have got to show the others what we see. And we must reject it, resist it, and dismantle it. We have got to build a new way, pave a new way, a new future, our future, not their future, our future. One with life and humanity at the forefront, prioritized and respected. A future of hope, of reverence, of respect, and of freedom. A future for humanity, not against it. A future worth passing down to our children and grandchildren and grandchildren's grandchildren. Our future. They want us to think war looks a certain way. They want us to think war looks like guns and bombs and bullets and tanks, like how we see in the news and on the movies. They want us to think war is waged between countries and involves fights between borders. They want us to think at home our governments keep us safe and protected. But thankfully we've been gifted with the eyes to see this war that already surrounds us, this war on consciousness, this war on humanity. But still, many will deny its existence and turn a blind eye. But let's think about this logically for a moment. If we went to another country and blocked out their sun, would that not be an act of war? What if we created drought, or manufactured floods, or fires, or hurricanes on foreign land? What if we caused famine? What if we went to a foreign country and added fluoride to their water? A toxic, carcinogenic, neurotoxin poison proven to lower IQ. If we added that to the water of an enemy, or what if we sprayed their breathing air and skies with aluminium? Would that not be an act of war? Is weather warfare not war? Is heavy metal poisoning via chemtrails not war? Were the lockdowns not economic warfare? Is psychological warfare not war? Are the jabs not war? They think that by controlling our minds, they can control our perception of war. They think that by controlling the minds of the people, that they will control how we react to the actual war being waged on us today. But the people are waking up, and we must help them along in their awakening. And when they finally do wake up and see this war that already surrounds them, then the real battle can begin, and only then can we truly pave the way for our children. We can see what is coming. We can see the writing on the wall. We can see through their bullshit. And because we have the eyes to see, we have the responsibility to stand up for what is right. We have no choice. We are waking up first for a reason, because we are the torch bearers. We can resist this agenda. We can do this in so many ways. By seeing the writing on the wall and knowing what is coming, we must prepare for a future that is nothing like the childhood that we grew up with. We must plan accordingly. By seeing the writing on the wall, we must plan for this by being a reaction to what is coming. So if they plan technocracy, we must plan farming and community resilience through agriculture. If they want to control commerce with the digital ID and digital currency, we must create an alternative means of commencing commerce, a new way of transacting goods and services. We have got to show the next generation that there is another way, and not just show them, but teach them and guide them and give them a torch worth bearing, pass them a torch worth keeping alive. For we are the generation of this transition, and we have the eyes to see what is next. Therefore, we must act accordingly. I see controlled opposition and psyops everywhere I look, everywhere I turn. They think that if they constantly muddy the waters, that we will be misled, that we will be confused, and that we may even just give up. So as I see it, we have a choice. We can either lead this revolution, or they will. So what's it going to be? Are we going to let the New World Order controllers lead this revolution? Lead us to destruction? Lead us to technocracy? Lead us to a digital world with no soul? Lead us into 15-minute cities? Or are we going to do what we came here to do and lead ourselves? We have two very clear options. We can sit idle and watch, or we can lead the way. It is up to us. Thank you. Hey, Kath, do you want to go next? Come on up.
Hey.
is a grassroots activist and campaign supporter from Bristol. A mom with a passion for poetry and creative expression who strongly believes in truth, freedom, and humanity. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much, Kath, for coming from Bristol today.
Thank you. I've marched, handed out leaflets and stood in crowds, but standing here with a microphone is by far the most terrifying, hardest thing I have ever done. But I'm doing this because the issue matters enough to me that I don't want fear to keep me quiet. Born to live under clear skies, now forced to inhale what we never chose. Lines carved across the heavens like a quiet violence, turning something infinite into something owned. We still breathe, but it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like surrender. We were born for clean air and open skies, not this slow, invisible weight pressing down on every breath. The sky is no longer a refuge, it's a reminder. And the hardest part is knowing that we have no choice but to keep breathing it in. Clear skies were meant to be our birthright, not a memory. Now every breath carries a question. Every glance an upward reminder that even the sky isn't untouched. Something sacred has been taken and we are still learning to live with the loss. The sky was never meant to feel like this, like something you survive instead of something that sets you free. And still we look up, hoping to remember what it used to feel like. Do you remember? Lying on the grass, looking up, watching the clouds drift by. Real clouds. Climbing trees and coming home covered in mud. Do you remember? When nature was simply where we went to play. Trees were castles, clouds became dragons, and the sun stayed out forever. Basking in the glow of a summer sun that seemed as endless as our imaginations. And the sky wasn't something we analysed. It was something we wondered at. I miss that. When something feels precious, we pay attention. Perhaps that's why so many of us are here today. We still care enough to look up. We are told not to question, but whether modification is real. Ge0-Engineering is real. It has been researched, discussed and carried out by governments and military for decades. And we all know that what is happening in our skies is connected to something so much bigger. Only last year it came to light that the UK government had allocated 56.8 million of our taxpayers' money to fund experiments to dim the sun as part of Ge0-Engineering efforts to cool the Earth. The most controversial being the Satan program. Yeah, you heard that right. Stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation, alongside an 800 million 4-year budget to the Advanced Research and Invention Agency, ARIA. Though trials were held discreetly in 2021 and 2022, the public were not made aware until spring of 2025. ARIA, a secret government body created by the UK government in 2021 that is exempt from any transparency, including freedom of information requests. Think about that. Yes, we are concerned about what is being sprayed in our skies. Yes, we are concerned about aluminium, barium and strontium. What we are breathing in, what is falling into our soil, our water and our food. We are watching bees disappear. We are watching insects decline. We are watching the sun dim behind a veil. The sun is life. Every tree, every crop, every bee, every animal, every human being. All life on Earth depends on the energy of the sun. No sun, no photosynthesis, no food for plants, no vitamin D3, no immune system, no health. The sky, the soil, the insects, the animals. Ordinary people, by people like us, by people who cared, by people who chose to speak even when their voice was shaking, by people who stay engaged even when they are afraid, even when they feel small, even when others told them they could never make a difference. But you can. You're here. It's a war on people with light in their eyes, and yet they remain. The dreamers, the healers, the quiet warriors, the ones who choose compassion when bitterness would be easier, the ones who keep their hearts open in a world that rewards armor, the ones who still believe, the ones who feel. That's courage in its purest form. To remain tender in a world that celebrates hardness, to remain hopeful in a world invested in fear, to remain awake in a world that profits from forgetting. It's a war on people with light in their eyes because they remember, because they question, because they refuse to surrender their humanity. And we will have the last laugh one day. Let it be known to any individual, any politician that has contributed to the destruction of our skies, we see you. You will suffer one day just like we have. No mercy. Your time is coming. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Can we give her another round of applause? So thanks, Kath, from Bristol. And if a mom from Bristol can write some beautiful poetry like that and get up in front of people, even though she told me that she would never do something like that, when I asked her if she wanted to speak, she said, Matt, I would never. And the answer is no, but I have to, if that makes sense. So I want people to think about that, because your voice is important. And maybe you don't have to get up on stage, but if Kath can stand up in front of everybody and give her poem, even though she's camera shy and doesn't like doing it in front of people, then you can have these difficult, important conversations with others. Who cares what they think? Humanity is at risk. It's important, you know? Trust me, you won't regret it in the end. So our next speaker is Sandy Adams, and she's lovely. And please, everyone, hang out for the music afterwards. We're gonna have Sandy Adams speak, and then myself, and then maybe another speaker. And then also, we're gonna be going out to the pub afterwards. For those of you that didn't come last time, it's Carpenter's Arms, and it's just down the way at, I believe, 12 Seymour. And they have a lovely outside area, and they have food, and it's a great time to socialize and meet your people, you know what I mean? So Sandy Adams, come on up, Sandy. So since leaving the corporate world in 2009, Sandy has immersed herself in exposing the realities behind UN Agenda 2030 and the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. For the past 16 years, Sandy has been delivering talks to raise awareness about the emerging top-down global governance model and the technocratic systems being built around us. The events of the past 3 to 4 years have been a profound personal revelation for Sandy, underscoring that we are both in a human and spiritual battle for our souls and species. and how we must resist the relentless push towards transhumanism and AI and geoengineering. Sandy has her own podcast, 2030 and Beyond, and a YouTube channel at Sandy Adams 2030. Please check her out online and give her a nice round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Matt. Thank you, Matt. That's great. I don't have to say that now. That's wonderful. So he's told you who I am, and I did a really good interview with Matt on my podcast on Friday, but we couldn't get the edit done quick enough. We got the promo out, so look out for that. Sandy Adams on 2030 and Beyond with Matt Landman. That will be out soon. And Matt is just a hero. He's done lots and lots of work. And you know, when I said I would speak here, I got loads of people getting in touch with me, saying, "Oh no, the chemtrails, they're not spraying, it's something else. You know, it's fuel in the dead jet fuel. It's stuck in the jet fuel." And other people saying, "Oh, they don't exist at all." You know, do you know what? It doesn't matter the means that they're doing this. It's a bit like 9/11. Everybody argues about how they did it. Well, they did it. And that's what we have to remember, is that you only have to look up and you can see these trails that are expanding and persistent. And whether you call them persistent, expanded contrails, or you call them chemtrails, it doesn't matter. It's happening. And this is why I get really annoyed with the kind of the nitpicking and the I'm right, you're wrong stuff. Because at the end of the day, they want us divided. And it really doesn't matter. The outcome is the same. We're getting the pollution, we're getting the toxins in our bodies and on our crops, and we're seeing it in the sky. And there's no doubt about it, it is dimming the sun. And it's been doing that from, I kind of think it's been doing it from the 90s, maybe earlier. I mean, I know the history of weather modification goes right back to, in England, to Lynmouth in 1952, when the RAF dropped on I think it was about the 15th of August 1952, the RAF dropped silver and dry ice, silver diode and dry ice into clouds in an operation to create rain. And they didn't realise they created rain when they got back to the base station. They all high-fived each other. Woo, woo, fantastic, we did it. They didn't realise they'd killed 35 people because they created so much rain in a short space of time. It washed the whole of Lynmouth, which is a little village in Devon, away. And that only came to light, really, after 50 years. When the D notice was lifted, because it was 50 years, and they interviewed one of the pilots on Radio 4, and he said he has to live with that for the rest of his life. Now, that's, Matt knows more about the history. He can go right back to the 1800s, and we know that they've been mucking about with weather. And I don't want to get into the semantics of how they do it, what they do it with. We know that they're doing it, and it's all part of the bigger agenda of 2030, which is what I'm all about. Some people think that 2030 is some sort of benign, some kind of benign thing that is going to save the planet. They call it sustainable development, but it's not. It's global governance. And that's what, unfortunately, we signed up to in 1992. And it was called the Earth Summit, and they created sustainable development. And Ge0-Engineering, or call it whatever you like, weather modification, whatever you want to call it, it is all part of the bigger plan of control. And unfortunately, we've got digital ID, we've got behaviour management, data centres. And this journey has led me to research from Agenda 21 right down to Agenda 2030. Now, we've got a future where more decisions are removed from the people and placed in the hands of large supranational institutions. Whether you agree with that assessment or not, it's undeniable. Power is becoming increasingly centralised. And what we're seeing in our skies is a big part of that. So how would these persistent expanding trails fit into what I just explained? It's very clear to me that the trails we see, the crisscrossing patterns in our skies, expanding, they do block out the sun. They do fulfill the objectives of 2030. They fulfill them through net zero, because at the end of the day, they don't want the sun to get to our crops and to us. And we've got, they want us to have less sun. We know the sun is essential to our health. In days gone by, hospitals used to wheel people out into the sun because it healed them. They don't do that anymore. They used to have big glass houses called solariums. And, lack of sun is detrimental to our health. Agenda 2030 and the 17 goals push for net zero. And it's affecting our farming, our food security. And British farmers face growing uncertainty. Lack of government subsidies are forcing farmers to give up their land to solar farms, wind farms, data centres. It's compromising food production. Huge data centres are being built on green and brown belt land, as well as our land being taken up, as I say, by I don't know why they call them solar farms and wind farms, they're not, they're factories. Farmers need support. The lifting of crippling sanctions on fertiliser and inheritance tax and subsidies. They need help. We're putting pressure on our governments to help the farmers. Weather modification is being funded in the UK. As that lovely lady, I've forgotten her name before, she spoke about ARIA, A-R-I-A, look it up, look up ARIA. It's the Advanced Research and Invention Agency. The UK government established it in 2023. They announced funding for research into climate cooling, marine cloud brightening, reflected aerosol concepts, and inventions intended to reduce solar radiation. They are deliberately altering planetary systems. ARIA openly says 56.8 billion is what they're being funded to explore climate cooling. The public has a right to full transparency before anyone experiments with our skies. This issue is not in the realms of conspiracy anymore. It's real. Just look up. So there's bigger questions here, thank you. Weather manipulation is not simply a scientific issue. It's about a growing belief that we can fix every problem through technological control. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Because we need solutions, because it's destroying our world. Technocracy is destroying our world. The whole technocratic agenda that brings us digital ID, digital currency, Ge0-Engineering, genomic research, all of that, they want all our data in one place so that they can create a completely controlled society, a bit like the Chinese social credit system. All the surveillance that's put into our towns, all of this is part of it. We need solutions, we need transparency, full disclosure of experiments and implementation. We need independent scrutiny, public consultation, independent science, open data, and independent review. The future does not belong to global technocrats. It belongs to informed people like us. We the people need this. Our world belongs to us, not the globalists and not the technocrats. We need local food, local networks. We need autonomous parallel systems free from government oversight. And we need to really learn about detoxing. Now, luckily Matt talked about detoxing. He's got an amazing bit on his website that talks about all the supplements you can take. Detoxing is a big part of our journey if this stuff is going to continue to rain down on us. We need supplements that rid the body of toxins and heavy metals. Matt has loads of info on his website. Do look at it. Now, the sky should not be a scientific laboratory. It belongs to God and us. We may disagree about causes, we may disagree about solutions, we will disagree about just about everything. But surely we can agree on this: the future of our atmosphere should never be decided behind closed doors. We have the right to ask questions, we have the right to seek answers, we have the right to protect the natural world entrusted to us. And it's enough good people stand together. No technology is more powerful than an awakened public. Thank you. And please, if you can, subscribe to my website, 2030 and beyond, and look at my X, which is @SandyAdams 2030. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, we've got to get this out of the realms of conspiracy. We need to put it out there, and we need to get the governments to be truthful and transparent. Freedom of information requests, go for them, because they work. Thank you very much.
Okay, and then that's in Toledo, right next to Town West Station. Okay, you know Town West, Bristol Wells Road? So, did you? Right.
I was eating a muffin. Pardon me. So, a bloke came up to me just recently from Ireland, David Kane. He's a little camera shy, but he wanted me to read a poem that he wrote. And this is in the Light newspaper. And actually Darren from the Light newspaper is actually here today. Darren, do you all know the Light newspaper? Let's give Darren a round of applause. He's a musician and he'll be performing after the Unregistered Chickens here in a moment. So here's the poem by David Kane. Dear the Light, another tree has fallen. Its limbs lay all around. What's causing this to happen? Is something in the ground? Its roots, they have all shrunken. Brown bark now turning green. Just go about your business, slave. There's nothing to be seen. I lift my head unto the sky. Those lines are everywhere. Why don't the masses notice this? But do they even care? My fear now lies in times ahead, when food, it may not grow. I can only take some solace knowing we tried to tell them so. Lovely. David, are you here? Raise your hand. Where is he? 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 There he is. Oh, he's got a camera. Thank you, David. I appreciate your beautiful poem. And I'll speak to that just for a moment. Well, here we have a nice chemtrail sky, or not nice, but if you see, we've got real clouds and fake clouds. Fake clouds are the ones above the clouds here today. And this is what the sky looks like after the spraying has unraveled and it's being microwaved with ground-based stations called NextRad or HARP. Once you go deep down the rabbit hole, you cannot unsee it. So, yes, the trees are under attack, and it's really sad. Where I live, there's trees that are on the river with their roots in the river that are dying from drought. Imagine that. And the scientific community and the environmentalists and the university are scratching their heads and saying, how could this be? The river flows all year, and the ponderosa pines, these conifer trees, they have their roots in the river. How are they dying of drought? We don't understand. And the elephant in the room are the skies above them. I'm talking as like a poem still in stanza. So, but seriously, they spray aluminum oxide. This is the primary constituent in the sprays. It is in the patents. It is in our hair samples. It's in the soil. It's in the rainwater samples when the activists of the world take science into their own hands and apply the scientific method and see the spraying in the skies and then it rains the next day, and they test the rainwater. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a genius to add 1 + 1. The patents say they're going to use it. Monsanto even came out with aluminum resistant genes and seeds. So they spray the aluminum oxide, it comes down on our trees, it gets in our soil, and then it disrupts the tree's ability to uptake water. It creates stress in the trees, and they become infested with bugs, beetles, and molds and what have you. Like, they become vulnerable. But especially frightening is the aluminum oxide is a patented fire accelerant. So fire accelerants are being sprayed on our forests, and it disrupts, like I said, the ability for these trees to uptake water, and they're dying of drought even when they're right next to water. So let's pray for our trees and pray for an awakening in humanity so that we can take our forests back and not watch our farmland and forests and vegetation slowly die and become vulnerable to fires. And like I said earlier, everyone can play their part. David Kane is filming here today. He boldly approached me and asked me to read his poem. And he wrote this poem, put his heart and soul into it, gave it to Darren at the Light newspaper, and got it published. And now people are listening to his poem. He's doing something. He's trying. Let's give him a round of applause, please. We can all do something. I like to say, if you can knit for the awakening of chemtrails. If you can bake a chemtrail plain pie and give it or cake and give it to your coworkers and tell them why you did it. You know, there's things that can be done. Use your passion and your heart to help along this awakening. It doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be fear-based. You can do it out of love. Our next speaker is Philly J. Lay. Come on over here, Philly. She's the host of a wellness podcast called Wellness Way Podcast. She is a self-healer from a near-death medical procedure and a campaigner to rebuild our health and the planet because, as we know, it's all interconnected. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Hello, lovely people. How are we all today? Okay, big cheer, make some noise. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to every single one of you that has rocked up today for your health and that of the planet. Now, I have to say I'm disappointed that there aren't enough people here. I mean, you could never have enough people, but you know, the numbers are low, and yet everybody must be looking up in the sky and wondering what's happening. And we've got a lot of cameras here today, so I'm just going to say to all of you people at home, because this is going out on YouTube, where the fuck are you? This is time to stand up while we still have a chance to fight for our health and that of the planet. So get your ass down to these events, stand up, do what you have to do to get this information out. So anyway, as Matt said, I am Philly J. Lay. I'm the host of the Wellness Way podcast. And what I try to do is give people information. We know that we are being poisoned from every direction, from our soil, from our water, from our skies. And this has been going on for generation after generation after generation. And it's time to say enough. There are solutions. We are incredibly powerful. We know a fraction of what we can do to heal ourselves. And in that fraction that we know how to heal ourselves, we know a minuscule fraction of how we heal this planet. But everything is connected. Unless we do both, we're kind of fucked. And I'm not going to let that happen, not on my watch. So, as I said, I give people solutions. And I wanted to come up and speak because I was contacted a couple of weeks ago by an Instagram friend, the wonderful Dr. Catherine Clinton, who's a quantum biologist and teaches everybody the power that we have with our soil, with our bodies, you know, all the connections. And she said, Philly, I'm coming to London, can we spend a day together? And I said, hell yes, Catherine, can we go one better than that and do a health hub? So I'm a woman on a bit of a mission. And I'm building the new NHS, Natural Health System. And so I said to Camilla, yes, get down to CNM, a College of Naturopathic Medicine. On the 8th of September, I will book the whole college out for the day. And let's talk about our superpowers. And then, a week later, I had another DM on Insta from one of my first guests on the podcast, a brilliant woman called Camilla Share. And Camilla is an agra-homeopath. So I don't know, do all of you use homeopathy on yourselves? Put your hand up if you use homeopathy. We've got lots of people here that know about the energy vibration of homeopathy. Well, Camilla uses it for plants. And she has extraordinary results with it. I mean, quite extraordinary. So many years ago, she moved to Africa, and in her townlands, there were lots of schools and the children weren't very healthy. So she was mixing a remedy, which is kind of like a homeopathic version of a vitamin tablet. And she was dropping it into all the schools for free. And the children were getting healthier and healthier and healthier. And then one day, a dad at the school said, could you do this for plants? Because I've been trying to turn organic on my coffee farm for 3 years and I can't. And I haven't really had any crops and I think I might lose the farm. Can you help me? She said, let's give it a go. So she mixed a remedy. A few months later, he saw Camilla and said, well, I don't know what was in that remedy, but I have the largest crop I have ever seen on coffee trees. The only problem is the branches can't bear the weight and I'm still going to lose all my plants. And she went, don't worry, I'll mix you another remedy. So she mixed a remedy and virtually overnight, half the coffee beans fell off the trees and bushes, and he had this abundant crop that kept his trees and the best crop he had ever had. And she thought, okay, there's something in this. And then her mum contacted her. They had a really old 200-year tree that her mum loved, and it was covered by that moth that kind of puts a web around the trees and then eats the trees and they die. And her mum said, I don't think there's anything you can do to help me here, darling. And she said, let me give it a go. Mixed a remedy, and literally within a few weeks the tree had come back to life. So Camilla has dedicated the last few years of her life to agra-homeopathy. And when she messaged me, she said, you know, the podcast is doing so well, can you please help me get agra-homeopathy out to the world? I said, hell yeah. I said, but will you do me a favour? Will you get on a plane to London and will you come and join us at the Health Hub at CNM on Tuesday, the 8th of September? And she said, yes, I will. We have brought some extraordinary other guests on board for this event. And it's one that's very, very personal to me. My dad started Pick Your Own Strawberries in the UK after World War II. He was a bomber pilot. He knew, he didn't want to come back to the UK because he knew the terrible things that they were doing with aeroplanes. And my granny, his mum, thought that he would never come home. So she walked 10 miles to a little village where my mum used to play the piano in a pub, and said, I think my boy is sweet on you. Will you write to him and persuade him to come home? So my mum did. My father came back vaccine damaged. They called it Parkinson's disease, but according to his letters, when he tried to call off my parents' wedding, it was after a plague inoculation. He knew what was going on. He grew these strawberries. He didn't have any money to hire people to pick them. So him and mum used to cry as they were rotting on the plants. And one day Mum just wrote a sign saying, pick your own strawberries, and put it up on the road. And that was the beginning of a movement that took over the UK in the 50s and the 60s. Now, there was a disease called red core that was wiping out British strawberry growers at this time. And my dad came up with a remedy, which was Epsom salts and seaweed, that stopped it. In his naivety, he took the thing on everybody's lips as we take this world to the new stage. For that reason, I've taken another remortgage on my house, and I am going to film and live stream this talk globally and to every farmer and every grower free of charge around the world. I need as many of you as I can possibly get at the Health Hub. You'll find it on my webpage, phillyglae.com. We go live, I think, on Tuesday, and we've got a 10% early bird discount. Please come and support the work I'm doing. I'm kind of out of remortgages here, guys. I need your help because we will do this. This is very, very personal for me. There's also something else very exciting that I can't tell you about yet, but I will, because we are going to do a health hub later on in the year on chemtrails and the things that we can do to save the planet. But there is an app coming that can break them up. But that's all I can say about that at the moment. But it's very exciting. We are finding solutions. We are the power. We are the people. Take back control while we still can. Because as I say at the end of every podcast, the doctor of